Hi YouTube fam, welcome back to my channel. My name is Priscilla. If it's your first time watching me, let's get right into today's video. I want us to talk about why you should stop jumping from one relationship to another. I know that this is not the type of conversation that we would usually have in the Christian community, but this is exactly why I am talking about that today. Because there are so many things that are not necessarily spiritual that cause a lot of marriages to fail even before they start that we need to address. Because marriages are not just about being spiritual and just about praying and all of that. So I'm going to be sharing a couple of things that contributes to marriages failing that actually come from relationships that you've had in the past. I believe that I've even already started talking about why you should stop jumping from one relationship to the other. In the Christian community, we usually feel like we don't talk about it because people don't move from relationships from one relationship to the other. But these things actually happen because people don't understand things from the, from one perspective. So we have people who are in relationships that are not necessarily officially relationships. Let me explain. I'm sure you know what I mean, right? You know those kind of relationships that are relationships but they are not official. So you feel something towards the brother, but the brother hasn't said anything, but somehow you started building the relationship in your mind. You are like, maybe the brother has just said hi to you, or the brother just has conversations with you. You like him, so you've already built a relationship with him in your mind, and you already believe that you are just waiting for him to come and propose. And so whatever conversations that you have with him, you take it as this is the person I'm going to get married to. There are also people who get into relationships officially. What that means is they've agreed to be in a relationship, but they haven't yet spoken about marriage. These things happen in the church. Yes. So let's talk about that. And all types of relationships, basically. But today, I'm really trying to focus on relationships that you start, not necessarily the aim of marriage, not necessarily courtship, but you start those relationships because you are in love with the brother and you believe that you guys can have a relationship and have conversations and, that kind of thing. The first reason that I'm going to share with you why you should stop jumping from one relationship to the other is because most often than not, those relationships don't last. So it ends, you end your relationship with this brother, and then tomorrow, in quotes, right, the next time you're in another relationship with another brother, and then it doesn't work, and then the next time you're in another relationship with another brother. Dating, maybe you don't call it dating, but it happens as well among Christians. The number one reason why you should stop that is because every relationship that you are going to go into is going to affect you one way or the other. It's going to leave something in you, or it's going to take something from you. So relationships are not just the way people usually portray it to be. Relationships are not really just about having fun. Relationships are about commitment. You commit yourself to the person emotionally. Relationship is about time commitment. You invest a lot of time building that relationship with the person, talking on phone, maybe meeting and having conversations and all of that. So you invest time, you invest your emotions. Those are the two main things that people usually invest into relationships. And what usually happens is, listen, you invest part of your time and your emotions in different relationships. It is definitely going to affect you. For some people, it will make you become very emotionally unstable. That's why you would see that it's easy for people to move from one relationship to the other after they have done it once. So if it has happened once, they begin to move from one relationship to the other, claiming to look for for the love of their life or for the right man. But it's just become a thing for you to move from one relationship to the other because you have become emotionally unstable. Another thing that it can cause is that you can begin to look for love in the wrong places because of disappointment. So you got into a relationship with this brother and you didn't get what you wanted. That's why you begin to hear things like church brothers are not serious, or church brothers are not this, they are not maybe serious when it comes to relationships, or they are not faithful, or they won't stay true to their word, or things like that, because you gave your heart to the wrong person, you got disappointed. And so there are some people who, as a result of that, begin to want to look elsewhere. They want to begin to consider the proposal that particular guy from outside, who is not necessarily born again, brought, and they are like, maybe I should just consider that person because I have already been disappointed with brother A, brother B, so I think at this point I'm ready to look elsewhere. But when you look at it closely, sometimes we put ourselves in trouble. We create trouble for ourselves because we give our heart to the wrong person and move from one relationship to the other, and it backfires. Now, another thing that moving from one relationship to the other will cause is comparison. So you begin to compare your relationship A, that brother that you were in a relationship with, that guy that you were in a relationship with, he used to be a giver, he used to offer you gifts. When you go into relationship with the other person, you begin to compare him to the other guy. That other guy used to lavish me with gifts. Why don't you give gifts? Why don't you give this type of gift? That other guy used to do this. Why don't you do that? And even if you don't do that in another relationship, you can take that comparison into your marriage. Take it, from whatever level. If you get into different relationships, once you finally get the person that you want to settle down with, there will be a tendency for you to want to compare him to a different person that you have had a relationship with on different levels. Can be that other person used to call me this number of times, why don't you do that? That other person used to text me this number of times, why don't you do that? That other person used to do you understand? And sometimes for people who have had a rough past, who have engaged in sexual acts, you can even begin to compare your husband when it comes to the sexual aspect as well, to the past relationships that you have had, and that can actually lead to disappointment and wrong expectations and all of that. So you definitely want to avoid jumping from one relationship to the other for this reason as well. Jumping from one relationship to the other can also cause emotional wounds. So emotional wounds can be things like lack of trust. Because of some of the disappointments that you've had in past relationships, you can begin to lack trust when it comes to those areas. And you will take that lack of trust to your marriage, and it will affect how you relate to your husband, and it's going to lead to a lot of tensions, because you are always going you're not going to trust your husband on so many levels. And relationships actually thrive on trust. Trust is one of the key ingredients of a successful marriage. So if you carry your disappointment, your broken hearts, and the things that you've suffered into your marriage, it is going to affect your relationship with your husband even before you actually begin to build it, because you are carrying luggage that you haven't dealt with. It can also lead to the fear of abandonment. Now, the fear of abandonment usually happens when you have been in a relationship that didn't end well, or you have been in relationships that didn't end well. Sometimes this relationship were not meant to even start in the first place, but you gave your heart and your attention and all of that, your time, to those people, and the relationship didn't end well, maybe because they broke the relationship, or something happened, you heard of something, and you had to put an end to the relationship. When that happens, it's also linked to trust issues. When you get married, you can begin to fear that your husband is also going to do the same thing. He's also probably going to leave you. And sometimes you just need to see anything that may look like some of the things that you have experienced, and then it's a trigger and you begin to react in a certain way. I am telling you things that actually cause marriages to fail, relationships to fail, and they start from somewhere. So if you are not yet married and you've been jumping from one relationship to the other, it may look like fun, but it is actually affecting you. And if you don't go through a process to help you deal with these things well, it can affect your future marriage. So this is me calling on you to begin to stop these various relationships that you are getting into. The thing is, it's a waste of time. Why are you wasting your time jumping from one relationship to the other? As I said, one of the resources that we invest in relationships for relationships to thrive is time. So when you jump from one relationship to the other, you're wasting time. You're wasting your time. For some of you, that time that you're wasting talking on phone for long hours with a person that you have no business being in a relationship with, you can use that time to read. You can use that time to read Understanding God's Will for My Life. Where is it? You can use that time to read a copy of Understanding God's Will for My Life and begin to get to know yourself, know who you are, understand God's will for your life, understand your divine purpose, rather than spend time, on phone. So you realize that so many singles waste a lot of time, the valuable time that they have, on relationships that are not meant to be or are not even meant to start, talking, going to restaurants, spending time together at various places and stuff like that. Use that time effectively, building yourself up, attending programs, building your relationship with God, reading good books like Understanding God's Will for My Life and other books, so that you can prepare for the right man that God has for you. And sometimes, moving from one relationship to the other can also make it hard for you to know the right man for you, because you are so busy building and you are so busy starting relationships, with different people. This one ends, you start another one. This one ends, you start another one. And one of the things that I believe in, which I have shared in my book, Understanding God's Will for My Life, is the fact that when it comes to God's will, there's timing attached to it. Maybe that time that you are spending building another relationship that will not lead anywhere, the man that God has for you is somewhere around, but you are busy. You are nowhere to be found. You are not where you are meant to be. You are busy in a different relationship. And so it's important that you avoid this, so that you make yourself available where and when you should make yourself available. I also want to say that some of these relationships can also affect your spiritual life, because going back to the time factor that I spoke about, sometimes you are meant to be praying, you are meant to be spending time with God, you are meant to be sharing the gospel, but you are distracted with your various relationships. Okay, to conclude, I just want to advise you to really maximize your single season by creating time for yourself, spending time with yourself, enjoying your own company, spending time with the Lord, building your relationship with God. Buy books, read books. If you haven't yet gotten a copy of Understanding God's Will for My Life, this is a great time for you to get a copy, whether an ebook or the hard copy if you're in Ghana. Delve into the book, read it, get to know God's will for you, because it's important as well when it comes to knowing the will of God for you in the area of marriage. You need to understand His will for your life first of all. So make good use of that time and understand that your identity is rooted in Christ. Your value, who you are, your value doesn't come from being in relationships. You don't need anybody to validate who you are. You don't need anybody to validate your worth. Do you understand? You should learn how to value yourself before you actually give yourself to the right person, because until you actually learn to value yourself, you're going to keep giving yourself to the wrong person. You're going to keep starting relationships that you are not meant to start in. Please share this video. Do share this video with someone. This is super important. I believe it's time for us to throw some light on some of these things that affect relationships and eventually also destroy marriages, when we are supposed to have beautiful and lasting marriages. So thank you so much for watching today's video. My name is Priscilla and I talk about faith, purpose and marriage. I hope today's video blessed you. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe, turn on post notifications as well, so that you get to be notified anytime I post new videos. And I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.